let's talk about spending. All right. I'm having this evil laugh because I totally understand when I say that word that you're probably like, oh no, quick, change the video. I do not want to talk about spending. And that's totally understandable, but hang tight with me because I think what I have to share would be altering for you. Be totally life-changing in the way that you think about how you're spending your money. Oftentimes when we talk about spending, we know and we get a little bit uncomfortable because we realize that we probably could be doing better with our spending. There's probably areas of our life that we don't spend very well, that we waste money. It's very natural and kind of partly due to our culture, partly due to the day and age that we live in, you know, with electronic transfers and debit cards, credit cards, Apple Pay, PayPal, just everything that happens electronically. We become further and further removed from like the cash and the tactical touch of money. So when we do that, we become even more unconscious and more unaware of really the value of how much we're spending. That's part of it. The other part of it obviously is our culture, and our culture, we're very consumer oriented and spending money, we just spend without thinking twice about it oftentimes. But we need to interrupt that and we need to change that, because when we are able to get our hands around how we're spending our money, we're able to live life in an entirely different place. We're able to make financial decisions from a place of confidence, and that's so important. Any major life change that you have, whether it's changing jobs, whether it's a move, whether it's retirement, whether it's anything that is life altering, really impacts how we're spending, and it's going to shift that. And for us to really be able to make that decision with complete awareness and confidence, we have to be really aware of what we spend our money on and how our spending might change in those kinds of circumstances. So it's super important, and that's why you really want to get control. Not to mention, I promise you can actually add more value to your life. You can stop wasting money, get the things that you really want, all by spending with more intention. So how do we do that? The first part is to identify your values. What's really important to you? Now, I've worked with values with my clients for a long time now, and I used to start out by helping them go through a list of values, and you could do this on your own. You could Google values, come up with a list, and kind of the idea is you identify the value word sets that really resonate with you. The problem that I found with that, and with working with my clients in that, is it's kind of ambiguous. Most of those values are all good values, and we resonate on some level with everything, and that we want them to be part of our life. It gets hard to kind of go through that process. So what I ended up doing, and what I've evolved to, is creating a quiz that can actually help you identify those values, help you really narrow in on what is important right now and most important to you in your life. So go ahead, I'll put the link in here. It's on my website, you can find it through that. But you want to identify the values and those things that are really important. And I usually take like the top 5 to 6 and identify those top ones that are important right now, because they can change. They can change based on your life circumstances. For example, you might have a family, and so family and relationships are going to be more important to you. You might be starting out in your career and have career goals that are really important. At the same time, you might have a cause that is, really true to your heart. So depending on what's going on in your life, your values might change. They might ebb and flow. So identify for right now what's really important. But it's not just enough to identify them and to say like, oh, relationships are really important to me, because we still don't really have a connection there. What we want to do is ask ourselves a key question, and that is, how do those values play out? How do they show up in my life? How is that reflected? So for example, one of my values is recreation. And when I think of recreation, one of the first things that comes to my mind is baseball games. I love a baseball game. I love going to a Little League game, going to high school baseball game, certainly going to Major League games. I'm a big Phillies fan. But one of the other things that I really want to do in life is to go to all the different baseball stadiums. I want to visit the cities and go to like Chicago and Boston and San Francisco. There's just something about taking in the whole essence of a baseball game. The summertime, the sun, snacks, a beer or two, friends and family. I just love the whole thing of it. Just totally gets me excited, and that's one of those things. But I also love going to the beach. I love having dinner with my husband and going to different restaurants and trying out new foods. I really love going to wineries with my girlfriends and spending some one-on-one time in smaller groups and talking and sharing over a long glass of wine. That's like how those values play out for me. So what you want to do is take some time and reflect. How do your values show up in your life? What does that mean to you? How are you living your life? What are you doing? And then take it another step further. And this is something I fairly recently started doing, and it's made a huge difference to my world, is actually taking that visual image, going and visualizing how does that play out with you. And actually what I've done is created a values vision board and collected different pictures. And I actually ended up just recently putting this together in a little exercise called 3 Days to More Meaning. It's also on my website. You can find that. That can walk you through the same process. But taking pictures and identifying and visually seeing those values, it's a whole world of difference, because you're not just taking something verbally and mentally and something that you're thinking about, and instead you're taking something that is really meaningful to you, and you're tying in the emotions. And by visually seeing, not only does it help you remember what's important, but it creates this entire other connection that happens internally, emotionally, mentally, almost physically. It just connects everything together for you. And what that does is that puts those values, what you've said is important to you, front and center in your life. And then what you're going to do is you're actually going to use those values as a filtering system to identify, how am I, and you're going to ask yourself that question, how am I spending my resources? Is it in line with what I value? Does it help me live my best life? Because honestly, that's what it comes down to. I can't stress that enough. We do far too much comparison. We spend wastefully because how many times are we looking at what other people are doing? How many times are we searching for something, some type of meaning or some type of experience that we think is going to matter to our lives, but we're doing it based on what somebody else is doing. We're looking at advertisements. We're watching, oh my gosh, Facebook, Instagram. We're seeing what everybody else is doing, and we're thinking, oh, that looks cool. I'll try that. And you know what? It's not going to have the same impact for you because you're not them. You are you. And your life and what matters to you is different. So you can't spend money the same way that someone else does and expect to have the same life and the same experiences. You have to narrow down what's important to you, and you have to live out those values. So get clear on what's important, really get clear. Put those values front and center, and then start utilizing your resources in ways that really reflect that. Of course, it's going to take some time. You're going to have to look at your resources and understand, income, expenses, but what you're going to end up doing when those values are front and center, because they mean so much to you, you're going to start looking at all types of your expenses, and you're going to start being like, you know what, this doesn't really line up with what I'm doing and what I really want my life to look like. So you're going to be able to let go of it, and you're going to say, nope, I'm not going to spend money there. Cable bill, cut. That's not important to me. I'd rather be outside. This, that, the other thing. You're going to be able to reduce your expenses. You're going to be able to stop. And sometimes it takes time because, again, we've kind of been ingrained to do this unconditional spending. So it really does become a shift, and it does actually become a practice. But if you want to drastically change the way that you're spending your money, and you want more control, and you want it to really reflect your life, these are the things you got to do. Identify your values, get clear, bring them front and center, and then start making sure that the way that you allocate your resources, and it's not really just money, we're talking time too. Allocate those resources in the ways that help that area of your life thrive. You can cut all the other wasteful spending. It makes sense, and it really is a simple shift, but you have to take the work and you have to put the work in to get to that point. And remember that it is a practice. It's something that's going to take some time to evolve, but I'll tell you, I've been doing it now for a long time, and it has made a world of difference in my life. I really can spend in ways that really bring value to my life versus all the other wasteful spending. So I encourage you to check this out because what I am about is helping you live your best life. And that means being conscious and aware of how you're spending your money, and make sure you're using that money to build that thriving life. You know, stop wasting the money on stuff that doesn't matter and start living your best life. Go check out my website, moneymademeaningful.com. On there I've got my resources for the quizzes there, for the values quiz. There's the 3 days to more meaning exercise. Oh, and I have a course on there, Mastering Your Cash Flow, which actually takes you through step by step on how to realign your spending with what's really important to you. So go check that all out. And you know, if you happen to like this video, please like and subscribe. Share your comments, connect with me. If you've got questions on how to do this and how to implement this in your life, please, I would love to hear them. Well, that's it. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a great day.